podcast. We're so excited to have you with us today. This is Cindi McIntosh and of course Kelsey Deanne. Kelsey?
Hi everyone, I hope you're having a great day. So we are so excited today. We are joined by a very special guest. We have Alexia Melocchi. Am I saying this right? Yes, oh my gosh. And she is such an amazing woman. She speaks like 4 or 5 different languages. And she is not only a creator, she's a producer, she's an entrepreneur, she's a business owner, and she has her own podcast, among many other things. So I'm so excited to have her on today to talk about her journey. But first of all, what inspires you? What are you passionate about? What gets you out of bed every morning and says, yes, I'm gonna do this today?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I am so honored and privileged and humbled that you invited me on this great podcast honoring all things Scotland and all this beautiful Scottish traditions and people and talent. Gosh, I feel like I'm almost adopted now, which is good. I'm almost adopted by Scotland. I love that. So thank you so much for having me. I have to tell you, what has always driven me to do whatever it is that I did is my love for storytelling. I absolutely love storytelling and storytellers. And I love artists. I believe that artists are the ones who create and paint words, and civilization follows that. So I actually wanted to, I must have been probably some sort of a person in the past life that had a court, and maybe I was a queen and I was having all these artists and I was championing them and pushing them, because that has been something that I've always loved to do. So when I started in the business, I, as you can see, I've been through many incarnations, from buying movies as a distributor to selling movies worldwide, independent films, to then, becoming a manager, very boutique, because I wanted, again, to discover this international gems and, build a bridge between Europe and Hollywood. And then that kind of became a passion of mine that allowed me to produce, allowed me to make movies, because of course I was helping my clients thrive, whether it was filmmakers, writers, authors, producers. I just wanted to help tell their stories. And then it kind of transitioned into becoming a podcast host, which is really my hobby. And my guilty pleasure that I created during COVID, because of course we were all not working and sitting in front of our computer. And I said, what can I do to inspire, uplift, and educate people about Hollywood, and letting them know that Hollywood is not just ego, it's not just people wanting to just make money, sleep around with people, do drugs, but Hollywood is so much bigger than that. It's a great vehicle for storytelling and inspiring and letting us feel connected. So I was thinking, I have to do the heart of show business. I have to be able to bring on my show and interview people and get to hear their journeys and how they make it, right? Because everybody thinks everything is handed to us when we are in Hollywood, but Kelsey, being an actress as well, we have to work hard at what we want, and we have to have a great mindset and drive and passion. And so this is what keeps me up at night and what gets me up in the morning with a smile in my face and going, you know what, I get to do this. And I'm so blessed and grateful. And if you are grateful, I believe that you attract good things. And so here I am, still here.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
It's so exciting. And I know you said it very briefly, but I want people to hear this, the name of your podcast again and where they can listen to it.
Yes, my podcast is called The Heart of Show Business. And, its purpose was exactly that, to bring us to the heart of everything that is show business, so that people kind of get an insider look at how our world works, and also stories of survival, stories of triumph, stories of how things truly connect, and messages that are being given through the entertainment industry. So I'm a huge advocate for all things entertainment, which is why You know, it's a global thing, which is why I love being on Scott's Week, because I think people think Hollywood is just Hollywood, the town. But we have to keep on remembering that I would say probably 60% of actors and actresses and filmmakers are international, right? And they're here. And look at how many TV shows are led by British talent and Spanish talent and European talent. It doesn't really matter, Latin talent. So we are a big melting pot, and we are a little bit of a little nucleus of the little planet Earth, you know, with an artistic spin. Okay, I'm done blabbing.
No,
Please,
your
no.
words are so inspiring. They really truly are. And I feel like Kelsey and I are on that same wavelength. You know, people felt kind of bad for us. We had to postpone Scott Week. It was our first year, and we were ramped up, ready to go. And a month before, we had to postpone everything. And so, you know, we tried to look at the positive side of that as well. And so we took Scott Week and we went virtual. And we too try to do things that are inspiring for other people and keep people engaged and give something for people to watch and listen to and see and do that might be a little bit uplifting as well. And then also help. For instance, we just went, we traveled to Montana and we went on location behind the scenes, an intimate look at the making of the film Robert the Bruce. And we're hoping to do the second part of that in Scotland as soon as we are able, because the film was shot in both locations. But so we've been doing that, and we've been connecting with a lot of people. And through that film connection, we connected with and made friends with Shorus Wallace. Yeah. And it was through Shorus that introduced us to you. So can you tell us how you met Shorus and what projects you were excited about working on with him?
Yeah, well, I believe that, you know, there is this thing called destiny, right? And, you know, the funny little story is that when there was the earthquake in LA back in '94, I ended up moving to Greece because my mother is Greek. And you know, the 6-month little hiatus turned out into a 4-year stint. And I remember that I was missing going to the movies, and a friend of mine who's a girl says to me, you know, there's this great movie called Braveheart, you know, with Mel Gibson. Let's go see it. And I was a huge fan of Mel Gibson, but I'm going, no, I don't want to see a guy's film. I don't want to go and see people just killing each other in battle and like, who cares, right? And I ended up going to see that movie. And that movie, I still recall today how I felt when I saw the film, and when I had the emotion of seeing somebody like William Wallace fighting for freedom, having integrity, being a hero for his own country. I think it's a universal message, but most of all, it's like, will you die for your principles and for the things you love and the people you love? And I remember I was crying my eyes out. And it's one of my all-time favorite films, even if it's a guy films. And as destiny has it, literally a few months ago, I belong to this group called Stage 32. It's a nonprofit too, and they facilitate a lot of artists to have the opportunity to pitch to executives their work. And Shorus was one of the people who chose me for me to have an 8-minute conversation over Skype. And him and I, just like me and Kelsey, my birthday twin, kindred spirits, right? I started talking to him. I loved his accent. He was pitching me something else. He wasn't even pitching me The Legend of Braveheart, you know, Wallace. He was pitching me another story, Sergeant Mackenzie, but I loved his personality, right? And so we started connecting, and then he starts emailing me and telling me, oh, Alexia, you know, I love Scotland, you know, I love our, how does it call it? The brethren, when you're like having a we get together and our we talks, and I love the way, you know, he spoke to me. And then he says, you know, I have an idea for a series. You know, I worked on Braveheart as a stuntman and as a consultant, and I am the chief of the Wallace clan. And I was like, what? You are the chief of the Wallace clan? Are you kidding me right now? He goes, yes. And I have to tell you the story about, you know, William Wallace, and there is stuff in history that people do not know and they did not cover in the movie. And he says, I wrote a series. I'm like, I have to see this. I have to see this right now. So he sent me that material, this idea, and he told me the story, and I'm like, and then he sends me all his other stories about, you know, Red Clyde, which is the Glasgow gangsters, you know, during Chicago, during the Prohibition. Amazing story dealing with the mafia. You know, I'm Italian, so anything mafia I'll be attracted to. So I'm like, okay, great, Scotland, Braveheart, the mafia. This is perfect for me. And I just was so enthused with his incredible creativity. And then he says, well, would you represent me? And I'm like, yes, of course I would. I would represent you, and I want to develop your series, and I want to get writers, and I want to put it together because we have to tell the stories. These are amazing stories. And that's how I got connected with Shorus. And it's been so exciting. I'm like, I can't wait. We literally just found a great writer. His name is Nick Montalvo. He's American. Another one who, like, you would think you would hire a Scots, right? But he totally got together with Shorus, and he totally got the story and what the message was. So now he's writing the pilot, and, you know, early stage of the journey, but I can't wait. I can't wait. So that was it.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that story. And it is amazing how people come across our paths constantly through life, and for a reason. It's usually for a reason. We could take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love hearing about how people's journeys and stories unfold, because there's so many twists and turns, and, you know, a lot of times we'll be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then the universe throws something else and we're like, what's this? Okay, I guess I'll just roll with it and see what happens. So I would love to hear, I mean, you just briefly mentioned that you lived in Greece for a little bit, but you're Italian. So tell me, where were you born, and what has your journey been like? What are these twists and turns and things of moments of learning that you've experienced?
I had so many serendipities, you know, for myself, that is like, literally, I think about movies, and it's true that art imitates life, or life imitates art. You know, it's both of the things, because I mean, here I was, a girl born in Italy, in Milan, and all of a sudden I'm watching all the shows. I'm watching Happy Days, I'm watching Dallas, Dynasty, you know, all those great, fabulous American shows, you know, as a kid. And my biggest dream was to go to America, you know, and all of a sudden I write in my diary. I was 14 years old, and I found my diary, freaked me out, where it said, biggest dream to go to America forever. I had no idea what this was going to look like. And literally 2 years later, my mother gets divorced from my dad. She meets an American man, and she decides that we're going to move to LA, which I had never seen, Hollywood. So there comes like the first coincidence, right? Here I am writing about it. I arrive there, I go to American high school. Another coincidence, I speak a lot of languages, like you said, Kelsey, and I'm in high school, a senior in high school, and somebody approaches us, a friend of the family, and says, hey, you know, there's this thing called the American film market, and you are on your break, on your spring break. There is a guy who's Italian, and he's a big distributor, and he doesn't speak a word of English. Would you be willing to be his translator and go to this American film market? I'm like, what the hell is that? And translate and go watch movies with him and help him do deals. And I ended up doing that. And then he ended up hiring me fresh out of high school to represent him and do deals for him. And then all of a sudden I'm meeting all these other people. And then my mother becomes my business partner, because she was working with the studios doing finance. All women company, mother, daughter. We start our own company. And I was literally 19 years old. I remember when I first made my $1 million, and I was like, what the hell? How did this happen to me? You know?
Wow.
Yeah. So that was like, it was like all serendipities, right? It was like all coincidences. But, I had no funding. I didn't go to college. I didn't go to university. All I knew was, to me, was a university was life, really, like the school of hard knocks, as they call it, right? So I believed in myself. And, as women, we know it's not easy to be in Hollywood, especially if you are easy on the eye. You might have situations or things where people are not taking you very seriously, but it's up to us to define the standards that we live by and the values that we live by and hold on to those. And if we do that, I think we will have like a little protection bubble and we'll still be able to achieve our dreams. So, there I go, selling movies, buying movies, and then finding amazing authors and representing them, and then producing. And then here I am podcasting and doing all kinds of other things. But everything leads me to the next thing. So there is no coincidences. I believe in that.
Well, it's amazing you should say that. And again, I just want to say how inspiring you are. Just listening to you and listening to your life experience, and I think, Kelsey and I have come together for similar reasons as well. But, I feel the same way. My life is just, as long as you're willing to work hard and your life takes you places and you do things you never thought that you would be doing before, and you have opportunities and you meet amazing, wonderful people, but you have to work hard. A lot of times I hear people talk about how, oh, well, you've just been incredibly lucky. Well, no, I have to say I've worked very hard. We all work very hard, and it's not all that easy in the world, and just taking, I play bagpipes. That's and I play and compete in Scotland. That's not easy to do for I want to say a lady. I don't know if I should say that out loud. It's not necessarily easy to do in that world. So it's not easy sometimes being a woman, but if we can inspire each other and help each other, and just having listened to what you just said, that's so inspiring. And is there any one point that you can think about in your life, a major moment of insight, or like a pivotal moment where you just had kind of a realization or a breakthrough, or were given an opportunity other than the one you just told us about? Or was it just, do you feel like it was just like a natural progression over a long period of time? Anything you want to share there?
Well, I have to say, everybody has a low point, right? And I do admit, I did have my low point, because here I was, as I was saying, making my millions of dollars every year selling movies. And then, as we know, the whole video DVD market started collapsing. And then this, we're talking like in 98, 2000. And I was a little bit sick. I found myself creating opportunities for others and selling other people's movies, and with my mom, who's my best friend and my business partner. And we found ourselves that against that ceiling that was there for women, where they always thought, well, if you are a business owner, you must have some backing, you must have some men behind you. And it got to so bad to a point where I remember we're having a buyer that wanted to acquire one of our films, and he just was not dealing with us on a tough business level about paying, the full price for the movie. And so he saw that we had in our stationery, we had a star that looked like the star of Texaco, the oil company. So the guy is looking at the star, where my business partner, my mom, was like sitting and talking to me. And he looks at that and he says, is that the star that I think it is? And my mother, of course, lied. And she's like, well, she didn't lie. She didn't admit or deny. And she goes, well, what do you think? So the moment that this man thought that we were backed by the oil business, all of a sudden he wanted to do business with us and like pay to the nose. And it was just one of those things where you're like, isn't that interesting how perception, right, defines sometimes how people judge you or they want to interact with you. So I wanted to break free from that. I obviously did that. That was great. But I wanted to create my own opportunities. And so, we kind of decided to stop selling movies unless they were our own. and or people that we were championing, like artists who were championing. And so I would say that that was the defining moment, because I found myself with like basically no money after a while, and it's like I gotta create new opportunities, and I have no backing. And so, except my social skill, you think I'm a little social, as you can as you can tell, like I can talk to anybody. So and I was shy as a kid too, which is hard to believe. But that's what you do, right? You learn, you constantly learn, you constantly up level your game, and you network, because the person that you may meet may be the person that changes your life. And you really do not know that when that happens. Sometimes it can be 10 years later. So look at the Shorus thing, right? So I believe that every person you meet, there are stepping stone to something else. You just have to surrender to it and let it happen. And so that was my little inside journey.
That's
fantastic.
And it's so funny because this week, this might be a little tangent, but I've been reading Michael Singer's The Surrender Experiment. It's amazing. It's all about just surrendering, and just whenever you meet people or opportunities, just saying yes and be like, I have no idea what this is about, but we'll just go down it and see what happens. And just to be continuously living your life full of love and acts of service.
Yes.
And seeing where it goes. And I love that, that you had that pivot in your life. You're like, nope, and now we're going to do this. Which I'm really curious too. So is that how you started Little Studio Films? Tell us about that.
Yeah, we started Little Studio Films because I actually was, both me and my mother, we are huge fans of old Hollywood, right? So I still watch, I must have seen Gone with the Wind like 20 times, and I see like all the Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movies, and the Hitchcock films, the glamorous films of like, Esther Williams and all of that. And so I was a huge fan of Hollywood. And if we remember, the old model of Hollywood was almost like a place where they were nurturing the talent, right? They were bringing in the writers and the actors and whatever, and they were creating those collaborations that they were not really based on, like today, on money or shareholders, what the shareholders are going to, want us to do. Oh, great, it's a superhero movie because that's what's going to sell merchandise. Before, it was about nurturing talent. And so we created a company, Little Studio Films, because we're little, but not so little in dreams, but we're little, but we wanted to act like the old time studio system. And that's kind of like what brought us to doing that.
That's so exciting. And as part of that, I know you have Shorus Wallace as one of your people that you're taking care of. Are there other exciting ventures or people that you're really excited about?
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, I have wow, yeah. There's quite a few that I'm super excited about. I have a lot of wonderful television series, and I'm preparing. Beyond obviously the Legend of Braveheart, we have one on Casanova, which of course is going to be very, very interesting one, because it turns out that he was gay and nobody knew about it. So there's like a twist to the whole story, and shooting in Italy, my favorite country and my motherland. And we're doing Catherine de Medici, the Serpent Queen, which is an amazing series. And then we're doing a lot of digital content because, of course, we had a big movie that we were going to do that was stuck, called Galleon, just a big action film, whatever. But those things are going to take a while, obviously, to happen. So we started, gathering best-selling books. We started gathering, filmmakers with strong voices who needed to get a chance and a shot. We have a couple of really great and talented Italian directors that we represent, some authors. But what I've been doing right now, and I'm learning, because you always have to learn, I'm learning everything about digital content. And so I'm doing a lot of, I'm preparing a lot of digital series. I'm doing one called Made in Italy, The American Dream, and it's all about the expats from Italy here. I had to do that, right? And I'm just preparing things. So, because you have to create content that people are going to respond to, and we have this great opportunity right now, being virtual, that people will actually watch you or listen to you. You don't have to be an A-lister. If you have a good personality and you have something to say, people will follow you, right? So we're kind of doing a little bit of everything. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you what my priority projects are because there's so many. I don't know. We'll see what happens first, you know?
Well, that's a good thing to have, that you have so many projects, because it's, you know, oftentimes it's like a numbers game where you might be talking to someone, they're interested in this, another person, they're interested in something completely different, and you have a full plate. You have something and everything to offer, which is amazing.
We have to, yeah. I mean, you know, I'm even doing television right now. I have like a movie of the week, a Christmas movie that I'm doing with, by the way, Maeve Quillen, who is an Irish American actress. So it's, you know, neighbor to Scotland. So, and she's going to be in it and she's producing it with me. So I've always had this, you know, this great passion for working with actors. So I've been blessed that every actor that I met, in whether I was casting them officially or I met them to potentially cast them, I immediately connected with them and became friends with them. And so every time I have a project, I will go to them and say, let's make something together. I don't care if you're not an A-lister. I mean, you know, as long as you have a great body of work, because you want to work with people you like. And that's also something important. I think not just in show business, but in every area of life. If you work with people you like, you can face any adversity, I think. So that's that.
Absolutely.
Well, you have to love what you do, and the only way to love what you do, and of course things come up, right? And sometimes we're problem solvers, all of us, but it makes it so much better of an experience if there are people that you like and you can work with them on a project. And like me and Kelsey, I absolutely adore Kelsey. So whatever comes across our plate, we know we can handle it. I got her, she's got me. So very much believe in the same. So you touched on your podcast a little bit ago, The Heart of Show Business, and just wanted to let people know a little bit more about that podcast and when you started it and kind of the focus of that, what people can expect. And I'm sure that people are going to jump off this podcast and go watch The Heart of Show Business.
I'm going to have Kelsey on it, so they're better.
Okay.
I've already invited her, so there you go.
I'm so excited. Yes, 100%. So excited.
Yeah. You know, I just think that this is, I mean, what you guys are doing is very similar to what I'm doing. And I think the more the merrier. I totally believe in that. And I want to focus on every aspect of the show business. You know, I have coming up, you know, a very wonderful Scottish actor who is going to be, you know, he's already been interviewed on my podcast, and he's a friend of Shorus, and so he'll be coming on. I have an amazing Emmy-nominated production designer, you know, an art director, Carlos Barbosa. I like to interview all kinds of people. So, I mean, if there's anybody listening on ScotWeek who'd like to be on my podcast too, whether he's a Scottish actor or a composer or filmmaker or writer, I mean, I want to hear their stories too, just like you want to hear mine. So I just want to hear stories and have people appreciate them and get inspired. I think that's the most important thing.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, we have on our board as well as Graham McTavish. I don't know if you know Graham or have had a chance, but he's very fascinating and interesting to talk to. So we'll give you his information as well. Maybe you can have him on.
Yeah. And, you know, hey, listen, if you know James McAvoy, I'm like, I'll take him.
And he's a birthday twin too. He's born April 21st.
He is?
Yes.
Ooh, oh my goodness. It's or Richard Madden. I'll take Richard Madden. He should be Braveheart. He should be William Wallace, the series, you know. He would be amazing at it, you know. So Gerard Butler, I'll take him.
So will we. We'll take them all.
We'll take all the Scots. We'll like share them.
Yes, why not?
Yeah, wonderful. No, and amazing that you play the Scottish pipes, because I have to say that music is so deep and it's almost like a religious experience. I so love it. It's got so much heart in it, you know. So there you go. I want to hear you play.
Thank you. It's, you know, I'm very passionate about it. I have played for, and a shout out to Steve and Sandra Cook, who we just found out are mutual friends of ours. And Steve and Sandra are also on the ScotWeek board and helped start ScotWeek. And I've opened for Steve. I played for Brit Week all these years, and many other people. But I will make sure that I'm playing them very well. You know, I've been a little lackadaisical during the pandemic, I have to say, and I really just need to buckle down because I used to compete all the time. So right now we're kind of like having an off year from that, and I really need to get back on it. But I've been at it for 22 years, and I absolutely love it. It's truly a passion for me, and it's opened up so many doors for me, you know, in addition, and I've done so many things because of playing the pipes. And so thank you, and I would be so happy to play for you whenever's most convenient.
I would love that. And yes, shout out to our common friend, Steve Cook. Hey, Steve, we're going to be seeing you at the Grafton hopefully one day soon, playing again with your incredible rock star hair and your incredible, like, amazing pipes, like vocal pipes in this case, you know, he's wonderful. So yeah.
Yeah, and for people who don't know it, we'll just go ahead and give him a plug. He has a show on Sunday evenings called The Sound of Distance. It can be found on Facebook at Cook Music, and that's truly wonderful experience. Half an hour on Sunday evenings, beautiful music. So yeah,
wonderful.
I think that's the one thing about Scots that I love is that you can go to any country in the world and you'll find somebody of Scots ancestry or that was born in Scotland or whatever it is. And I just love it. And so speaking of Steve, I mean, he's from Scotland, but grew up in New Zealand. So you talk to him and he has this beautiful New Zealand accent. And it's funny too. So one of our supporters of ScotWeek, we interviewed him for this podcast, and a dear friend of ours is Daniel B. So he's from Scotland, but his mom's side is Italian. So he's half Scot, half Italian. And it's just that he's just a beautiful man. And, you know, there's people in Los Angeles that are, you know, multicultural, and it's amazing how like everything is just like interconnected. But I was curious too. So have you been to Scotland?
You know what? I have not been to Scotland, but it's totally like my plan. It was going to be happening this summer. I have a friend of mine who has a castle in Scotland, or so she likes to call it. And she said to me, you have to come and visit. You have to experience, you know, this beautiful country. And I have always had a dream, you know, and interesting enough, you're saying about the connections with, I think the Scots are everywhere. You know, I was talking to Shorus, and, you know, my grandmother is of Russian descent, and so is my grandfather. And we were distant relative of the imperial family in Russia. And I found out from Shorus that the general of the army, the Russian army, was a Scot who was brought in to train the Russian army. So I'm thinking the life is telling me you have got, this is, you know, between the series, Shorus, the roots with Russia, with Italy. I'm like, I have got to go to Scotland. So I am ready. My bags are packed. Whenever COVID is over, let's make a girls trip and go see this beautiful country with this amazing, lush greenery. And I hear the people are amazing and friendly and sweet. And so I can't wait. I can't wait. I haven't been there, but I feel like I have been there in my head. So now I have to experience it.
It'll happen.
Let's all go together. Let's all go together. We'll have a fabulous time. It's like a storybook. It's just so beautiful. Everything's great, and the people are lovely. And no matter where you go, you're going to find friendly people to talk to. So with your mission, with what it is you're doing, with your film studio and with the Heart of Show Business, how can people support what you're doing and follow you? And let's talk about again where they can go to maybe follow you, and how would you like people to support you the most and your causes? What would you like to ask people to do?
Wow, that's so sweet. Well, first of all, I mean, don't get me started with my animal rescue causes, which I'm not going to go. But, you know, I'm a huge, you know, cat and dog lover. So to me, if they can follow me on my Facebook page, you know, Alexia Melocchi, or my little studio films Facebook page, they will be able to see not only the projects that I'm working on and also me plugging in the next episodes coming up for the Heart of Show Business, but they might also want to rescue a puppy or rescue a cat, because of course I post a lot of that stuff and I share. So yes, I would love for them to follow me on Facebook. They can find me on Instagram as Lexi Bella, Lexy Bella, Bella. That's my Instagram handle. And also the Heart of Show Business is my other Instagram handle, so they can follow me there if they'd liked. And if they want to visit my official site, www.littlestudiofilms.com, of course, they're welcome to do so. But I would love to get more listeners to my podcast for sure. And we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Spotify, we are on Google Play, we are on iHeartRadio. So anybody who wants to hear those great Hollywood stories, I would welcome subscribing, rating, reviewing, and telling me what you want to know more, and I'll try to bring it to you. And I know you want to bring Kelsey on, so please make a request for that. We'll see if I can squeeze her in.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so honored. Yes, squeeze me in however you see fit. I'm so excited.
For
yes.
sure.
Well, thank you, Alexia. And it's been such an honor and a pleasure to speak with you and to just hear more about you and your journey. I'm so pumped and I'm so inspired right now. I'm like, yes, awesome. Let's go make amazing stories. Let's just go out there. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Yes, let's go tell more stories about our beautiful heritage and history and the beautiful countries that we come from, and where everything is in history, right? So let's celebrate that history. Let's not erase that, by the way. I don't want to make a political statement here, but let's not erase our history, whether it's American, whether it's Italian, Scottish, it doesn't matter. Let's not erase it, because it's through our mistakes that we learn how to become better humans, and it's through the acts of heroism that of our ancestors that we also learn what it means to stand up for what you believe in, And so I am hoping that we will see each other on social occasions and also work on projects together. Anywhere I can support what you ladies are doing, it's amazing. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on with us and spending all the time with us. I can't wait till we travel to Scotland together. We're going to have so much fun. And Alexia, you're doing a beautiful, amazing work. And just listening to your words is so inspiring. So I know that you're interviewing other people and talking to them, but we would love to have you back periodically, just because your words and how you talk is just so inspiring for other people to listen to, how you view life and what it is that you're doing. And it just allows people to dream and think big, and everyone can know if someone else is doing it, you can too. With hard work and perseverance, you can do it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye. See you later. Bye.